The transport ship broke through the clouds of Station Velmine, and Yuna pressed her face against the small window. She had seen many things in her 30 years of life. She had walked through burning cities. She had crawled through mud and blood on 3 different continents. But she had never seen anything like this. The station was massive. It hung in space like a small moon, covered with towers and domes and landing pads. Ships of every shape and size moved around it like insects around a hive. Some were as small as cars. Others were as big as mountains. The lights from the station made it glow against the darkness of space. Beautiful, is it not? Said a voice beside her. Yuna turned. The speaker was a tall creature with blue skin and 4 arms. His eyes were completely black, like pools of ink. He wore the uniform of the Galactic Combat Academy, the same academy where Yuna was going. It is, Yuna said simply. I am Melok, the creature said. I have trained at the academy for 6 cycles. This will be my final year. I am Yuna. This is my first day. Melok looked at her with something that might have been pity. You are human, yes. The academy has never trained humans before. Your species only discovered faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. You are very new to the galaxy. We learn fast, Yuna said. Melok made a sound that could have been a laugh. We shall see. The transport landed on a wide platform. Yuna grabbed her small bag and walked down the ramp with the other recruits. There were 12 humans in total. They stood together in a group, looking around at the alien world they had entered. Yuna studied her fellow humans. Most of them were young, in their early 20s. They were strong and fit, selected from the best military programs on Earth, but they were also nervous. She could see it in their eyes, in the way they held their bodies. A young man stood beside her. His name was Dohan, and he had been a soldier in the Korean Special Forces. He was tall and muscular, with a scar running down his left cheek. This place is huge, he said quietly. I feel like an ant. Good, Yuna said. Ants survive. Before Dohan could respond, a loud sound echoed across the platform. Everyone turned to look. A creature was walking toward them. It was unlike anything Yuna had ever seen. It stood over 2 meters tall, with a hard shell covering its body like armor. It had 6 legs and 2 long arms that ended in sharp claws. Its head was triangular, with large compound eyes and clicking mandibles. It moved with the confidence of a predator. I am Vrel, the creature said. Its voice was harsh and clicking, but a translation device made the words clear. I am the lead trainer of the Galactic Combat Academy. You will obey me, or you will leave. There is no middle ground. The recruits stood in silence. Vrel walked slowly in front of them, studying each species. When he reached the humans, he stopped. So these are the famous humans, he said. His mandibles clicked in what might have been disgust. The species that thinks it can compete with warriors who have trained for thousands of generations. Nobody spoke. Vrel leaned closer to the humans. Your species is soft. Your bones break easily. Your skin tears like paper. You cannot see in the dark. You cannot hear high frequencies. You cannot smell danger. You are, in every measurable way, inferior. Dohan's hands curled into fists. Yuna touched his arm gently, and he relaxed. Humans will be placed in the lowest training tier, Vrel announced. You will train with the weakest species. You will eat last. You will sleep in the smallest quarters. If you survive the first month, perhaps we will reconsider. He turned and walked away. The other alien recruits looked at the humans with a mixture of pity and contempt. I will kill him, Dohan whispered. No, Yuna said calmly. You will train. You will learn. And you will prove him wrong. How can you be so calm? He insulted us. He insulted our entire species. Yuna looked at the place where Vrel had stood. On Earth, I once tracked a target for 3 weeks through the mountains of Afghanistan. I slept 2 hours a night. I ate roots and insects. When I finally found him, he was surrounded by 20 armed men. He thought he was safe. What happened? I waited. I watched. And when the moment was right, I acted. He never saw me coming. Yuna turned to look at Doan. Let them think we are weak. Let them underestimate us. It is an advantage. The humans were led to their quarters. As Vrel had promised, they were small and simple. Each person had a bed, a small table, and a storage box. The walls were bare metal. There were no windows. Yuna did not complain. She had slept in worse places. She had slept in the mud, in the snow, in the burning desert. A metal room with a real bed was a luxury. That night, the humans gathered in the common area. They sat in a circle and talked about what they had seen. Hyan, a young woman who had been a combat medic, spoke first. The aliens here are incredible. I saw a species that could change the color of its skin. Another one had 3 brains. How can we compete with that? We do not need to be better than them, said Jia, the youngest of the group. She was only 22, fresh from the pilot training program. We just need to be good enough. Good enough is not good enough, Dohan said. They will push us down at every opportunity. We need to be the best. Everyone looked at Yuna. She was the oldest. And somehow, without anyone deciding it, she had become their leader. On Earth, Yuna said slowly, there is a story about the turtle and the rabbit. The rabbit was fast. The rabbit was confident. The rabbit thought he could not lose. But the turtle kept moving. The turtle did not stop. And in the end, the turtle won. We are the turtle? Jia asked. We are whatever we need to be, Yuna said. Tomorrow, training begins. They will try to break us. They will try to make us quit. They will use every tool they have to prove that humans do not belong here. And what do? Hyan asked. Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, but it reached her eyes. We endure. That is what humans do. We have always endured. Ice ages, plagues, wars, famines. Every time the universe tried to kill us, we survived. This academy is just another test. And we will pass it. The humans went to sleep that night with her words in their minds. They did not know what tomorrow would bring. They did not know what challenges they would face. But they knew one thing. They would not give up. In another part of the station, Vrel stood in his office, looking at the files of the human recruits. He read about their history, their training, their achievements. He read about their wars, their struggles, their triumphs. He did not understand them. They were so weak, so fragile. And yet they had spread across their planet like a virus. They had conquered every environment. They had built cities in deserts, on mountains, in frozen wastelands. They had even walked on their moon before they had basic computer technology. There was something wrong with the data. Something did not make sense, but Vrel dismissed his doubts. Numbers did not lie. Humans were physically inferior. They would fail the training, and they would go home. It was only a matter of time. He closed the files and went to sleep. He would learn, soon enough, how wrong he was. Training began at dawn. The alien sun rose over Station Vel 9, painting the sky in colors that had no names in human language. Purple mixed with green. Orange faded into blue. It was beautiful, but Yuna did not have time to admire it. The first test was simple. Run. The track was 5 kilometers long. It curved around the outer edge of the training facility, passing through different environments. One section was hot, like a desert. Another was cold, like a frozen mountain. The third was thick with fog that made it hard to see. The fourth had gravity that changed without warning. You will complete the track in under 20 minutes, Vrel announced. Any species that fails will run it again, and again, until they succeed or collapse. The alien recruits looked confident. Many of them came from species built for speed. They had long legs, multiple hearts, and blood that carried oxygen more efficiently than human blood. The race began. The fast species shot forward like arrows. A creature with 6 legs and a body like a horse took the lead immediately. Behind it, a tall being with skin like silver metal ran with long, smooth steps. The humans were left behind in seconds, but Yuna did not try to catch up. She ran at her own pace, steady and calm. Her breathing was controlled. Her steps were even. She was not trying to win. She was trying to finish. Dohan ran beside her, his face red with effort. "They are so far ahead," he gasped. "We look like fools." "Keep running," Yuna said. "Do not look at them. Look at the path ahead." The first kilometer passed. Then the second. The hot section came, and the air became thick and dry. Some of the faster species began to slow down. Their bodies, designed for cooler planets, struggled with the heat. The humans kept their pace. The cold section came next. The temperature dropped so fast that ice formed on Yuna's eyelashes. Her lungs burned with each breath. But she had trained in the mountains of Korea, in winters so cold that water froze before it hit the ground. This was nothing. By the 4th kilometer, something strange happened. The humans began to pass other species. The 6-legged creature that had led the race was walking now, its sides heaving. The silver skin being sat on the ground, its cooling system overwhelmed by the heat section. Other aliens had stopped entirely, unable to adapt to the changing conditions. Yuna ran past them all. She finished the track in 18 minutes and 43 seconds. Not the fastest time, but she finished. All 12 humans finished. 4 alien species did not. Vrel stood at the finish line, watching with his compound eyes. He said nothing, that his mandibles clicked in a way that might have been surprise. The days that followed brought harder tests. Pain tolerance, sensory deprivation, combat training. Each test was designed to find weaknesses, to break the recruits down to their basic parts. In the pain tolerance test, the recruits were placed in chambers that delivered increasing levels of discomfort. It started with mild pressure, then heat, then cold, then electrical pulses that made muscles twitch and nerves scream. The average species lasted 20 minutes. The strongest lasted an hour. Yuna lasted 3 hours. The technicians running the test did not believe their instruments. They checked the machines twice. They checked them 3 times. But the data was clear. The human female had endured pain levels that should have caused unconsciousness. When Yuna walked out of the chamber, her legs were shaking and her skin was pale. But she was walking. She was standing. She had not screamed, not once. Instructor Keleth was waiting for her. Keleth was a reptilian creature with scales the color of dried blood. She was a telepath, able to read minds and sense emotions. She was also one of the oldest instructors at the academy. "How did you do that?" Keleth asked. Her voice was cold, but there was something else in it. Curiosity, perhaps. "Do what?" Yuna asked. "Indoor. Your body has no natural resistance to pain. Your nervous system is primitive compared to most species. You should have failed in the first 30 minutes. Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. "When I was young, my grandmother told me a story. She was a prisoner during the war. They hurt her every day for 3 years. They tried to break her, but she did not break. Do you know why?" Keleth tilted her head. "Why?" "Because she decided not to. Every day, she made a choice. She chose to survive. She chose to endure. The pain was real, but her choice was more real. Keleth stared at her for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away without another word. The next test was sensory deprivation. The recruits were placed in dark, silent chambers where they could not see, hear, or feel anything. Most species began to hallucinate within hours. Some went mad. The humans did something unexpected. They slept. Gia, the young pilot, explained it to a confused alien afterward. Humans need 8 hours of sleep every night. We rarely get it. When you put us in a dark, quiet room with nothing to do, our bodies say thank you and go to sleep. It was the best rest I have had in weeks. The aliens did not understand. How could a species be so comfortable with nothingness? How could they embrace the void instead of fearing it? Combat training came next. This was where the humans were expected to fail completely. They were smaller, weaker, and slower than almost every other species. Their teeth were dull. Their nails were soft. They had no natural weapons at all. But Una had studied every species at the academy. She had watched them move. She had learned their patterns. And she had found their weaknesses. In her first combat match, she faced a creature from a heavy gravity world. It was short but incredibly strong, with muscles like steel cables. It could lift 10 times its body weight. It could crush rocks with its bare hands. It could not catch her. Una moved like water. She dodged every attack, every grab, every strike. She let the creature tire itself out, but its heavy muscles burned through oxygen. And when it was gasping for breath, she struck. 3 quick blows to its nerve clusters. 1 sweep to its legs. And the creature was on the ground, unable to move. The watching aliens were silent. Vrel's mandibles stopped clicking. How? The defeated creature asked, staring up at her. I am stronger. I am tougher. How did you win? Una offered her hand to help it up. You are stronger. But strength is not everything. On Earth, we have small animals called honey badgers. They weigh only 10 kilograms. But they fight lions. They fight elephants. They fight anything. And they win because they do not know how to give up. That night, Hyan sat with a group of alien recruits in the common area. They had questions. Many questions. Your species confuses me, said a being with tentacles instead of arms. You have no natural advantages. Your planet is trying to kill you with weather and diseases and predators. By all logic, you should have died out long ago. Hyan smiled. We almost did. Many times. But we survived because we adapted. Not our bodies. Our minds. We learned to make tools. We learned to make fire. We learned to work together. When the world was cold, we made clothes. When the food ran out, we found new food. When enemies attacked, we fought back. But why? The tentacled creature asked. Why did you not just accept death? Many species accept death when the odds are against them. It is natural. Hyan thought about the question. I do not think humans know how to accept death. We fight it. Always. Even when we know we cannot win, we fight. There is a word for it in our language, hope. We always hope for a better tomorrow. The creature was quiet for a long time. Then it spoke again. I think I understand. Your species is not strong because of your bodies. You are strong because of your minds. Because you refuse to stop hoping. Yes, Hyan said. That is exactly right. In his office, Vrel reviewed the training data. The numbers still did not make sense. Humans were passing tests they should have failed. They were surviving challenges that should have broken them. They were earning respect from species that had looked down on them. He called Keleth to his office. What do you sense from them? He asked. When you read their minds, what do you find? Keleth was quiet for a moment. Fire, she said finally. Their minds burn like fire. They have fear, yes. They have doubt. But underneath it all, there is something else. Something I have never felt before. What is it? Stubbornness, Caliph said. Pure, absolute stubbornness. They refuse to accept failure as an option. It is not logical. It is not rational. But it is powerful. Vrel looked at the data again. They will break eventually. Everyone breaks. But even as he said the words, he was not sure he believed them. Word spread through Station Vel 9 like fire through dry grass. The humans were passing tests. The humans were winning fights. The humans, those soft and fragile newcomers, were proving everyone wrong. Not everyone was happy about this dot in the elite training wing. The best students of the academy gathered to discuss the problem. These were the champions, the warriors who had been raised from birth to fight. Their families had trained at this academy for generations. Their honor was tied to their success dot, and now a group of weak, short-lived creatures was threatening that honor. Torak stood at the center of the group. He was a Velthari, a species known throughout the galaxy for their warrior culture. His skin was the color of dried blood, covered with small scales that acted like armor. He had 4 hearts, 3 lungs, and a nervous system designed to ignore pain. His people had ruled their sector of space for 10,000 years. "This is unacceptable," Torak said, his voice deep and rough. "Humans are making us look like fools. The other species are laughing at us. What can we do?" asked another Velthari. "They are passing the tests fairly. The instructors are watching. Then, we challenge them directly," Torak said. "There is no rule against personal challenges. We can show everyone what these humans really are." He smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. "I know exactly how to break them." The next day, Torak approached the human quarters. He walked with the confidence of a predator, his heavy feet making the floor shake with each step. Behind him, a crowd of alien students followed, eager to see what would happen. Yuna was sitting outside, reading a book on alien biology. She did not look up when Torak's shadow fell over her. "Human?" Torak said. "I challenge you." Now Yuna looked up. Her face showed nothing. No fear, no anger, just calm curiosity. "To what?" "The crucible of Keth." The crowd went silent. Someone gasped. Even among the elite students, the crucible was feared. It was not a test of strength or speed. It was a test of will, of endurance, of the ability to suffer without breaking. "I have heard of the crucible," Yuna said calmly. "A sealed chamber. Increasing levels of pain and psychological pressure. The first one to move loses." "Yes." Torak's eyes gleamed with cruel pleasure. "My people have held the record for 300 years. Our bodies are designed to endure. Our minds are trained from childhood to resist pain. You cannot win this, human. Your soft body will betray you. Your weak mind will break. Then why challenge me?" Yuna asked. "If you are so sure you will win." Torak leaned closer. "Because I want everyone to see. I want them to watch you fail. I want them to understand that humans do not belong here. You are a mistake. An accident. You should have stayed on your little blue planet and waited for a real species to find you." Yuna closed her book and stood up. She was much shorter than Torak. The top of her head barely reached his chest. Standing next to him, she looked like a child facing a monster. "I accept," she said. The crowd erupted in whispers. Even Torak looked surprised. He had expected her to refuse, or at least to hesitate. "You accept?" He repeated. "You understand what the crucible is? You understand that you cannot win?" "I understand that you want to hurt me," Yuna said simply. "I understand that you want to break me. I understand that you think I am weak, because I am small and my species is young." She paused. "But I also understand something you do not. What is that?" "Pain is not about what happens to your body. Pain is about what happens in your mind, and my mind is stronger than you can imagine. Torak laughed, but there was something uncertain in the sound. We will see, human. Tomorrow, at the 6th hour, the whole academy will watch. He turned and walked away, his followers behind him. The crowd slowly broke apart, leaving Yuna standing alone. Dawn came running up moments later. Yuna, what have you done? The crucible is impossible. No one survives it for more than 2 hours. The record is held by a silicon-based life form that literally does not have nerve endings. 2 hours and 17 minutes, Yuna said. I read about it. Then you know you cannot win. Yuna looked at him with those calm, steady eyes. Do you remember what I told you on the first day? Let them underestimate us. This is not underestimation. This is suicide. The Velthari have 4 hearts. Their blood carries special chemicals that block pain. Their minds are conditioned from birth to resist psychological pressure. You have none of those things. I have something else, Yuna said. What? A grandmother who survived 3 years of torture without breaking. A father who worked 18 hours a day in the mines until his body gave out, but never complained. A mother who raised 4 children alone while fighting cancer and never once asked for help. Yuna's voice was quiet but firm. I come from a long line of people who refuse to break. It is in my blood. It is in my bones. It is in my soul. That night, Gia found Yuna alone on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. Are you scared? Gia asked. Yes, Yuna admitted. The crucible will be the hardest thing I have ever done. There's a real chance I will fail. There's a real chance my body will betray me. Then why do it? Yuna was quiet for a long moment. When I was young, my country sent me on a mission. I was captured by enemy forces. They held me for 19 days. They tried to break me. They used heat and cold. They used electricity. They used drugs that made me see things that were not there. And every day, I wanted to give up. Every day, I wanted to tell them what they wanted to know. But you did not. No, because I thought about all the people who came before me. All the humans who suffered so that I could exist. The soldiers who died in wars. The workers who died in factories. The parents who sacrificed everything for their children. If they could endure, then so could I. Gia sat down beside her. What if your body gives out? What if you move without meaning to? Then I will have tried. And that is enough. Yuna looked at the young pilot. But I do not think I will fail. I have prepared for this my whole life. Every hard moment. Every painful experience. Every time I wanted to quit but did not. It was all training for tomorrow. You really believe you can win? I believe that I will not move. Not for Torak. Not for the crucible. Not for anyone. Yuna smiled slightly. The Velthari think that their 4 hearts make them strong. They think their special blood makes them unbeatable. But they do not understand something important. What is that? The heart that matters is not the one that pumps blood. It is the one that holds your will. And that heart I have trained for 30 years. The next morning, Hyan came to Yuna's quarters with medical supplies. I want to check your vitals, she said. Make sure you are as healthy as possible before the crucible. Yuna let her work. As Hyan checked her heart rate and blood pressure, she asked, What do you think will happen? I think the Velthari are going to learn something today, Hyan said. Something that no one has taught them before. What is that? That humans are not weak because our bodies are soft. We are strong because our spirits are hard. Torak can endure pain because his body is designed for it. You can endure pain because you choose to. And that, I think, makes all the difference. The hour of the challenge approached. The whole academy gathered at the crucible chamber. Aliens of every species filled the viewing area. their eyes fixed on the two figures standing before the sealed door. Torek looked confident. His four hearts beat steadily. His blood was already releasing the chemicals that would dull his pain response. Yuna looked calm. Her single heart beat at a normal pace. Her blood was just blood, nothing special. But her eyes were like steel. "Last chance to back out, human," Torek said. "Open the door," Yuna replied. The chamber opened. They walked inside together, and the door sealed behind them. The crucible chamber was small. Two metal platforms faced each other, separated by 3 meters of empty space. The walls were covered with strange devices that Yuna did not recognize. Sensors, projectors, pain generators. Everything designed to break the will of whoever entered. Yuna sat on her platform. Torek sat on his. They faced each other like two statues, waiting for the storm to begin. Outside, the entire academy watched through transparent walls. Rel stood at the front, his compound eyes fixed on the human female. Beside him, Calith observed with her telepathic senses extended, trying to read the minds of both contestants. "Begin," said the automated voice. The first wave was cold. The temperature dropped so fast that Yuna's breath became white mist in front of her face. Her skin prickled. Her muscles wanted to shiver. Every part of her body screamed at her to move, to generate heat, to survive. But she did not move. She closed her eyes and went inside herself. In her mind, she was no longer in the crucible. She was in the mountains of Korea, in the winter training camp where she had learned to be a soldier. She remembered standing in the snow for hours, waiting for a target that never came. She remembered the ice forming on her rifle. She remembered the feeling of her toes going numb. She had survived that. She would survive this. Across from her, Torek looked relaxed. His species came from a cold planet. His blood carried proteins that prevented ice from forming in his cells. The cold was nothing to him. 1 hour passed. The cold faded. Heat replaced it. The temperature rose until the air itself seemed to burn. Yuna felt sweat running down her face, down her back, soaking her uniform. Her throat became dry. Her eyes wanted to close against the burning light, but she did not move. In her mind, she was in the desert of the Middle East, on a mission that had gone wrong. She remembered lying in the sand, waiting for rescue that was 18 hours away. She remembered the sun beating down like a hammer. She remembered thinking that she would die there, alone and forgotten. But she had not died. She had survived. And she would survive this. Torek was sweating now too. His species preferred moderate temperatures. The extreme heat was uncomfortable for him. But his 4 hearts pumped steadily, distributing the heat throughout his body, keeping his core temperature stable. 2 hours passed. Now came the pain. Electrical pulses shot through the floor, through the platforms, into their bodies. Yuna felt every nerve in her body light up with fire. Her muscles spasmed. Her teeth clenched so hard she thought they might crack. The pain was beyond anything she had ever felt before, but she did not move. In her mind, she was 19 days old in captivity. She remembered the men with their machines. She remembered the things they did to her body. She remembered screaming until her voice was gone, and then screaming silently with only her eyes. But she had not broken then. She would not break now. Outside, Hyen watched with tears in her eyes. She could see the readings on the medical monitors. Yuna's heart rate was dangerously high. Her blood pressure was spiking. Her body was releasing stress hormones at levels that could cause permanent damage. "She is killing herself," Hyen whispered. "No," said Doan, standing beside her. "She is winning." 3 hours passed. The electrical pulses stopped. Now came the psychological attacks. Images appeared in the air around Yuna, her parents crying, her friends dead on battlefields, her childhood home burning. The chamber showed her every fear, every regret, every painful memory she had ever tried to forget. Her sister, who had died when Yuna was 12. The car accident that Yuna blamed herself for. Her first soldier, the young man who had trusted her and followed her into an ambush. She had held him as he died, the faces of everyone she had killed. All of them, one after another, staring at her with empty eyes. Yuna felt tears running down her cheeks. But she did not move in her mind. She accepted it all. The guilt, the pain, the memories. She let them wash over her like waves over a rock. The waves were strong, but the rock remained. Across from her, Tarek was struggling. His species was not used to psychological warfare. They fought with bodies, not minds. The images the chamber showed him were confusing, disturbing in ways he could not understand. He saw his father, the great warrior who had never been proud of him. He saw his failures, the battles he had almost lost. He saw the fear that he hid deep inside himself, the secret terror that he was not good enough. His left arm twitched. 4 hours passed. 5 hours passed. The chamber increased its attacks. Sound waves that made their bones vibrate. Chemicals in the air that caused nausea and dizziness. Lights that flashed in patterns designed to trigger seizures. Tarek's second heart began to beat irregularly. His special blood was running out of pain-blocking chemicals. For the first time in his life, he felt true, unfiltered pain. He wanted to move. Every cell in his body begged him to move. But across from him, the human sat perfectly still. Her eyes were open now, looking directly at him. There was no anger in them, no hatred. Just calm, steady determination. How was she doing this? She had no special blood. She had no multiple hearts. She had nothing but a soft body and a single, fragile mind. But that mind was like iron. That mind was like a mountain. 5.5 hours passed. Tarek was shaking now. Small tremors ran through his body. His vision was blurring. His 4 hearts were struggling to keep up with the stress. He thought about his honor, his family, his species. He thought about everything he would lose if he gave up now. But then he looked at the human again. She was suffering. He could see it in the tightness of her muscles, in the paleness of her skin, in the sweat that covered her body. She was experiencing the same pain as him, maybe more. And yet she sat there like a statue, unmoving, unbreaking. For the first time in his life, Tarek felt something he had never felt before. Respect. 6 hours passed. Tarek's left arm moved. Just slightly. Just a twitch. But the sensors detected it instantly. Movement detected. Valtteri contestant, the automated voice announced. Victory. Human contestant Yuna. The chamber went silent. The pain stopped. The images faded. The temperature returned to normal. Tarek stared at Yuna with wide eyes. How? He whispered. How did you do it? Yuna finally moved. She rolled her shoulders, stretched her neck. Her whole body was trembling with exhaustion. But she was standing. She was walking toward him. Your body wanted to move for 6 hours, Yuna said. So did mine. Every nerve begged us to give in. Every instinct screamed at us to stop the pain. She stopped in front of him and offered her hand. But here's the difference between us, she continued. Your body controls you. You endure because your blood has special chemicals, because your nervous system is designed to block pain. When those things fail, you fail. Tarek took her hand. She helped him to his feet. But humans are different, Yuna said. Our bodies scream at us all the time. To stop, to rest, to give up. We learn to ignore that screaming from the day we are born. We are not strong because of what we are. We are strong because of what we choose to be. Outside, the crowd was completely silent. Aliens from dozens of species stared at the small human female who had defeated the Velthary champion without moving an inch. Vral's mandibles hung open. Keleth's eyes were wide with something that looked like wonder. And among the human recruits, Dauhan and Hyan and Jia stood with tears in their eyes and pride in their hearts. "That is what humans do," Yuna said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We choose. Every second of every day, we choose who we are. Our biology does not decide for us. We do." She walked toward the door, then paused and looked back at Torak. "You are a great warrior," she said. "Your people should be proud of you. 6 hours in the Crucible is an incredible achievement. But the next time you face a human, remember this. You cannot break what chooses not to break." The door opened. Yuna walked out, and the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. News of Yuna's victory spread across Station Vel 9 within hours. By the next morning, it had spread to other stations, other planets, other sectors of the galaxy. The story of the human who defeated a Velthary champion without moving an inch became legend. In the Academy's command center, the instructors gathered for an emergency meeting. Vrel stood at the head of the table, his compound eyes moving from face to face. "We have a problem," he said. "The humans are not what we thought they were." "That is not a problem," Keleth replied. "That is an opportunity." Vrel clicked his mandibles in annoyance. "What do you mean?" "For thousands of years, we have trained warriors based on physical capability, strength, speed, endurance. We measured success by biological metrics. But the humans have shown us something we forgot." She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the training grounds below. "The greatest weapon is not the body. It is the mind. The will to continue when the body wants to stop. The choice to endure when every instinct screams for surrender." "Poetic words," Vrel said. "But what do you propose we do?" "We learn from them," Keleth said. "We study their history, their training methods, their psychology. We find out how they forge minds that can overcome bodies. And we teach those methods to all our students." Vrel was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, his mandibles relaxed. "Very well. But who will teach these methods?" Keleth smiled, an expression that looked strange on her reptilian face. "I think we already know the answer to that question." That afternoon, Yuna was called to Vrel's office. She walked through the halls of the Academy, aware of the eyes following her. Aliens who had ignored her before now stepped aside as she passed. Some nodded in respect. Others simply stared. She entered the office and stood before Vrel's desk. "You wanted to see me," she said. Vrel studied her for a long moment. "I owe you an apology, human. When your species arrived, I dismissed you as weak, inferior. I was wrong." Yuna said nothing. She waited. "The Academy has trained warriors for 10,000 years, Vrel continued. "In that time, we have developed methods, techniques, traditions. We thought we knew everything about what makes a great fighter. But you have taught us something new. What is that?" "That the body is just a tool. The true weapon is the will that controls it." Vrel stood up and walked around his desk. "I am offering you a position, Yuna. I want you to become an instructor at the Academy. The first human to ever hold that rank." Yuna was silent for a moment. "I am only 30 years old. I have much to learn." "You have more to teach," Vrel replied. "Your species has something we have forgotten. In our pursuit of biological perfection, we lost sight of the mental strength that makes perfection possible. You can help us remember." Yuna thought about her grandmother, who had survived the prison camp. Her father, who had worked in the mines. Her mother, who had fought cancer with a smile on her face. All of them had endured. All of them had chosen to keep going when the world tried to break them. "I accept," she said. "The months that followed changed everything." Una developed new training programs that focused on mental endurance as much as physical capability. She taught aliens how to control their fear, how to push past their limits, how to make the choice to continue when their bodies wanted to stop. Dohan was recruited by the Academy's Long-Range Reconnaissance Division. His ability to function on minimal sleep, a human trait that amazed the aliens, made him perfect for missions that lasted weeks without rest. He became one of the best scouts in the division's history. Hyan joined the medical corps. Her steady hands and calm demeanor, even in the most chaotic situations, saved hundreds of lives. Other species learned from her example, discovering that a clear mind was more valuable than advanced technology. Gia became a pilot. Her quick reflexes, yes, but more importantly, her creativity and adaptability made her legendary. Where other species followed rules and procedures, Gia improvised. She found solutions that no one else could see. She became one of the finest pilots the Academy had ever produced, and the other human recruits spread across the galaxy, carrying with them the lessons of their species. They taught others what it meant to endure, what it meant to hope, what it meant to be human. 1 year after Yuna's victory in the Crucible, a new class of recruits arrived at the Academy. They came from dozens of species, all eager to learn from the institution that trained the galaxy's greatest warriors. Yuna stood before them in the orientation hall. She looked so small compared to the massive aliens around her. But when she spoke, her voice filled the room. "You will face enemies stronger than you," she told them. "Faster than you, better equipped than you, enemies with more natural advantages than you could ever develop. And you will win anyway." The recruits stared at her. "Do you know why?" Yuna asked. "Silence. Because victory is not about what you are. It is about what you refuse to stop being. It is about the choice you make in your darkest moment. When everything hurts and nothing seems possible, and the easiest thing in the universe would be to simply give up." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I am human. My species is young. Our bodies are weak by galactic standards. We have no natural armor, no special abilities, no biological advantages. By every logical measure, we should have been extinct long ago. But we are not. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived wars and famines and disasters that would have wiped out most species. And do you know how?" She looked at each recruit in turn. "We chose to. Every single day, for millions of years, our ancestors made the choice to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep hoping. That choice is our heritage. That choice is our strength. And I am going to teach you how to make that choice too." Behind her, Vrel watched with something he had never felt toward a human before. It was not just respect. It was admiration. It was gratitude. The Academy had trained warriors for 10,000 years. It had produced champions and heroes who had shaped the galaxy. But in all that time, it had never found a species quite like the humans. They were small. They were fragile. They lived short lives and had no special abilities. And yet, somehow, they were the strongest species anyone had ever seen. Because strength, as Yuna had taught them, was not about what you were born with. It was about what you refused to give up. That evening, Yuna sat alone on the observation deck where she had sat before the Crucible. The stars stretched out before her, endless and eternal. Somewhere out there, billions of humans lived their lives, unaware of what their species had proven. Tarek found her there. He walked up and stood beside her, looking out at the same stars. "I never thanked you," he said. "For what?" "For teaching me. In the Crucible, I learned something that my trainers never taught me. My body is strong. My people are proud. But true strength comes from somewhere deeper. It comes from the choice to keep going when you have no strength left." Yuna smiled. That is the secret of humanity. We have been making that choice for a very long time. I thought we were superior to you, Tarek admitted. I thought your species was a mistake, a temporary curiosity that would fade away. And now? Tarek looked at her. Now I think the galaxy is lucky that your species found us, and not the other way around. If we had come to your planet, expecting to find primitive beings we could dominate, he shook his head, we would have learned a painful lesson. Yuna laughed softly. We would have figured something out. We always do. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Two species, so different in body, but connected by something deeper. The will to endure. The choice to survive. The hope that tomorrow would be better than today. In the end. That was what made humanity special. Not their bodies. Not their technology. Not their weapons. Or their resources or their numbers. Just a simple, powerful truth. Humans never gave up. And that, in a galaxy full of warriors, was the greatest strength of all.